And your last name?
Grzesiek Kasperczyk, it's very difficult.
Hello guys, we are making a short interview with Agnieszka from Milo, which is a law company from Krakow. She made a tremendous, very interesting presentation about her special view on GDPR standards, which as we know are about to be applied in the European Union. And from what we usually see in articles dedicated to this matter, we see that there is always very big emphasis is put on making a consent, which has to be actively provided, meaning checkboxes have to be unchecked and have to resubscribe your customers if they were acquired without having such consent. So, and in your explanation, we saw something different, and it was even put in the topic of your presentation. So could you tell a little more about this?
Yeah, the title of my presentation was how to simplify your e-commerce, how to cut out some checkboxes, because it's not true that you have to have checkboxes for everything. First of all, if you just take orders from your customers and then you send things you sell, you don't have to take consent for making the deal, for sending your things from your shop. Yeah. Other thing is email marketing. Here you have to take consent, but it doesn't have to be checkbox. It can be made other way, because GDPR says that the consent can be given by any action. It doesn't have to be checkbox. It doesn't have to be writing. It can be, for example, putting your email in a special window or putting your telephone number. And if it's freely given, explain, not to, without any doubt, you know that somebody gave consent. It's okay. It's enough. So I was telling about this. And also the other thing was that there are 4 different bases on which you can proceed the data. And the consent is just 5th of them. So you have four different reasons why you can process personal data, and the consent
without
is 5th.
Consent.
Yeah, without having consent.
Okay. And are those really applicable to e-commerce?
Yeah, first of all, this making the deal. Yes, if you sell something and then you have to deliver your goods, you make the deal. So it is the basis of proceeding the data. One of them. The other is if somebody asks you for some information, if he sends you email or he calls your firm, then this is also the basis for proceeding data, so you don't need a checkbox. For example, there can be the formula on your page, on your website. Do you want to call us in 30 seconds? Please put in your telephone number, and it's enough. It's just enough. You can take this telephone number and call and speak to this person.
Okay, but when I provide, for example, my telephone number, shouldn't I be aware about how long are you going to keep this number and how exactly are you going to use it?
Yes, this is the other topic. Company have to give some information. There's quite a lot of this information because it's 13 points. As you said, who is the processor, for what reason, how long, if the data will be exported somewhere, for example, to United States, etc. Also, you have to inform that the consent can be easily withdrawn at any time, etc., etc. So there is 13 information you should give. But it's like the other topic from the consent.
Okay, I agree. So in those, like back to the case when I just put my telephone number, for example, in the form to call me back. It's like obvious logic that you can't have this deal performed if you don't actually have this number.
Yeah.
So I gave it to you to perform this action.
Yeah.
But this doesn't mean that I allowed to use it any other way.
Yes,
so
it's only for this one telephone call.
And then I have to delete it.
You have to delete, but you can keep it if during the telephone call, during the telephone speech, the person will give you another consent. Yes, you can ask like, okay, what do you want from us? I want to know your prices. The prices are this and this. Okay, and is it anything? yes, that's all. I don't want any other information. But maybe we can call you back like 1
Yeah,
week
understand.
later, yes? And if he says, yes, please call me 1 week later, then there's another consent and you can do it.
Okay, so building this set of communication or avoiding extra checkboxes that are not needed anymore in cases when you just perform some simple action.
Yes.
Yes, and if you don't
Go further.
Yeah.
If you don't go further from this action, that's okay.
Okay.
And if you want to go further, you have to ask.
Yeah, because like typical before GDPR arose situation, it was typical to store this data forever and ever and ever, in case we will need it, or in case we will do some promotional campaigns. So right now it's forbidden.
Yeah, it's forbidden to store the data if you don't have the purpose. You should always see the purpose and the the scope of the data, if it's matching. Yeah. So if during this conversation the person becomes your client, he buys something, then you can store the data because you will be performing the deal. But if he doesn't buy anything, then you should delete this data. Or take another consent.
Okay, so still get another consent, or perform some action that is also just means that you can't perform this action without having this personal data.
Yeah.
And one more question, which was really tricky for me when I was studying GDPR. It's something that we have already discussed, but still it's really interesting. So on website from Information Commission Officer in UK, we can find information where IP address of a person could be, or not could be, but just is a piece of his personal data. Yeah, and you said that it's not that strict.
Yeah, that's a tricky question from you because I'm speaking to the internet. Yeah, but this information that you said comes from a ruling, the big court from the European Union, in Luxembourg, and this is just one ruling where this court said such a thing, that IP address is a personal data. But not all the rulings of the courts are always true. I think the European Court is very clever and the rulings are very good, but in this case I think there is some kind of mistake. It can't be like that because definition of personal data, you have to look from your point of view. If you are a company and you have an information, are you able to put this information with a individual person? If you are not able to do it, then this is not personal data for you. For example, if you see a car and there is a car number, I don't know who is the owner of the car. So for me, this number is not the personal data. But the president of the city of Krakow, he has a list. Who is the owner of a specific car? So for him, this number is a personal data. And you have to think like this. So IP address for me is not the personal data, only for the hosting company.
Internet service provider company who knows who exactly uses which IP. For him, it's a personal data.
Sometimes there are instruments that you can see IP with email address, for example. I cannot explain it, but I know that it is possible sometimes that you see IP number, cookie, and email address. So if it's possible, then really IP will be personal data also. Okay.
I think the thing that you mentioned is the case when there are independent data collectors who match their cookie, your IP, and your email when you provide it somewhere. And those databases are actually quite popular here, and we met guys from a company who are offering such services to authorize sessions, which are usually anonymous.
And IP is personal data.
If you in this case. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was really interesting, and for me it's like a fresh air in this tense situation when everybody are scared about GDPR. So we had here Agnieszka from a law company from Krakow, which is called Milo. So if you have any questions, please refer us in our blog, or Agnieszka, if you will want, we will provide some data about your company. So you can refer her if you have some more questions.
Yeah.
Well.
And please don't think GDPR is a disaster. It's not. It's quite good for us, I think.